Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Rush Roots. Today we have Patrick, and why don't you tell us who you are and where you're from?
Hello, everybody. I'm Patrick Mest. I'm from Seattle, Washington, 35 years old. I've seen Rush live 4 times, and I've been a fan for 15 years since 2006.
That's awesome. All right. Well, why don't you go ahead and tell us what got you into Rush? Like, how did you hear about him, and what keeps you around?
All right. So here's how I heard about Rush and got into them. It was the spring of 2006. I had just started college. I was a freshman at Washington State University. And for most of that first year, I had not formed any real friendships with the other guys on my dorm floor, or any new people for that matter. I was still primarily hanging out with friends I knew from high school, including my girlfriend at the time, and they all lived in the same dorm complex, but in a different tower. However, by the end of the year, I finally started to form a friendship with another guy on my floor named David. And David and I were really into ping pong, and we loved going to the rec center, and we would play for hours. And during these ping pong sessions, we would talk about movies and music. And we quickly bonded over a shared love of a lot of music, particularly like 70s and 80s classic rock and metal. We'd love to suggest music to each other and try and get each other into different bands and songs. And we would share a lot of music through AOL Instant Messenger, which is not so legal, but I think the statute of limitations are up. Don't come for me.
Yeah.
Don't come for me in the comments. And one day we're just playing some ping pong, and David says, "Have you heard of Rush?" And I was like, "No, tell me about them." And he said, "Well, they're a Canadian band from the 70s, power trio, great classic rock sound that can get progressive and heavy. Very, very thoughtful lyrics, can get kind of sci-fi, great message." And I was just like, "Oh, okay, this sounds like this is up my alley. I'm into this. Send me some songs." So later that night via AOL, he sent me 3 songs: Limelight, Animate, and The Twilight Zone. I had realized now in hindsight how interesting sending me the song The Twilight Zone was. That is definitely a major deep cut.
Yeah.
And then I listened, and it was love at first listen. Except it wasn't. Don't hate me in the comments. I added all three songs to my iPod. I listened to each song twice. I thought they were good, but they didn't really hook me.
Dude.
So the summer kind of came and went, and I honestly kind of forgot about Rush for a bit. And then eventually in the fall, this is still 2006, my sophomore year is beginning. I'm back at school, and things are going not so great. I'm not really happy with some of my friends' situations. The previously mentioned girlfriend has broken up with me. I'm struggling in a few of my classes. Anyways, I find myself on a long bus ride. And at the time, I always have my iPod and my headphones with me everywhere I go. So I'm scrolling through my artists, trying to figure out what to listen to. And I come across Rush. And I'm not sure why, but I decided to give them another chance. So I listened to Animate, Limelight, and The Twilight Zone. And this time, it was love. It was a completely new and unique experience. The songs hit me completely different, completely differently, especially Animate and Limelight. Those ones in particular really got me. And I just wore those songs out. You know, I liked The Twilight Zone, but the other 2 stood out more. So
That's understandable.
Yeah. I think the reason that Twilight Zone did work for me more than maybe some others is because I liked watching the show on Nick at Night back in the 90s on Nickelodeon. They used to show old Twilight Zones on there, so I had a soft spot for that show. But yeah, that is, in hindsight, like that is such a unique song to send someone to try and get them into it. At that point, I was like, I needed more. So I went to an electronics store and I bought the Rush compilation CD, Spirit of Radio, Greatest Hits 74 to 87. I've heard other people on this page mention that album before. I think it was a gateway for quite a few people. So I had 15 more songs to listen to, and it was great for a couple of weeks, but the fix was in. I was becoming obsessed and needing more. So again, as a broke college student, your resources are limited, and I had a friend direct me to one of those not so legal websites where you can download music for free. So I downloaded all their studio albums. Again, pretty sure the statute of limitations is up. Please don't come for me. But yeah, just with that, at that point, yeah, with each listen, each album, the dam was broken. I was all in on this band, and I was just so happy. And then it just felt like all these other things just kept coming together. Like Guitar Hero 2, that really popular video game comes out shortly after, and it features a song by Rush. And to me, it was like a pretty cool badge of honor. It's like, hey, one of my favorite bands is on this game. Like that meant something to me amongst my friends. It was cool. And then again, more things just kept coming together. They hadn't put out a new album since 2002, and in March 2007, they announced a new album, and they're going to tour and come to Seattle, the Seattle area. It was just like, really, and that sounds weird, but it really just felt like destiny. And it culminated with going to that show on July 20th, 2007 with my friend David, the same guy who introduced me. We went to the White River Amphitheater in Auburn, Washington, which is outside of Seattle. And we saw Rush live. And I feel like every Rush fan says this, but to see them live is to reach another level of fandom. Mm-hmm. And the show lived up to the hype, and that was it. I was for sure all the way in at that point. And that is my not so short story.
I don't know if I've ever said this myself, but my very first show, you're chatting on a whole new level of fandom there. I think I got home at midnight. I was up till 6 o'clock in the morning, just listening to Rush and just obsessing over what I had just seen. Like, I don't think I've ever said that. What you just said made me think of that. But
yeah, it's quite an experience.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what I was about to ask was, when and where and what tour your first Rush show was, but you answered that already. So that's fortunately for you, got to see Snakes and Arrows. I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm
saw
jealous.
Twice on that tour, and then once on Time Machine and once on R40.
Awesome.
So 4 times total.
I need to know what your first favorite Rush song and first favorite Rush album were. I guess not the greatest hits album, like what your first favorite studio album was, and perhaps favorite song from that,
For
if
sure.
you have one. And does that differ from what it might be now? What your favorite song and favorite album might be now? I know that kind of changes, but
sure,
for most fans.
So my first favorite song was Limelight, because it was one of those original 3 songs that got me into Rush. My first favorite proper studio album was probably 2112, simply because I fell in love with the title track so much that I found myself listening to that album a lot, because I'm a big listen to an album from start to finish kind of guy. So I loved the first track so much, and I would just keep listening to the rest of the album. So it quickly became my favorite. As for today, honestly, I'd say 2112 is still my favorite song and album, because they were just such an important part of my early fandom that I don't think they'll ever get moved out of those number 1 spots. That being said, there's other songs and albums that I'm listening to more currently, but 2112 will still have my heart forever. And then, for the record, I did eventually buy their studio albums on CD or vinyl, so I'm not a total thief.
Yeah,
not a total thief.
Not a total thief.
Yeah,
not completely.
I gotta be careful.
No, it's good. It's good you purchased them. It supports the band too. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, why don't you tell us where people can find you on social media? I guess Rush Fans is on Instagram, so your Instagram account would probably be the best bet. So people can reach out to you as a Rush friend and chat Rush.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a huge shocker. A Rush fan with an Instagram handle that has the numbers 2112 in it. I know, totally unique. So it's at Mest 2112. I know, huge shocker. There's like 1,000 of us.
2112. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super unique. So yep, that's where you can find me.
That's great. And you can see Patrick on quite a few Rush roundtables now going forward. Yeah. So they're a great time.
Oh yeah.
You can see my mediocre opinions and bad jokes weekly on some roundtables. You're welcome.
That's great. All right, we can wrap there. If anyone watching has any interest in coming on to Rush Roots, just feel free to direct message us on Instagram at Rushfans. That's the best way to get in touch with us. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.